state of the team going forward into Thursday's game?
Yeah, we had a what I think turned out to be a really beneficial victory last night. Charleston Southern played very well and gave them everything they had, and our kids responded. You know, the game after finals week is always a tricky one because you've just been off for so much time, and although we practiced, I thought, very well during finals, I think you could see just like the rust and the rhythm that we haven't quite had. That we didn't quite have because we hadn't been playing games. And, obviously we got into a huge deficit. That was not the plan. But I thought our second half resilience, focus, toughness, heart really showed. And quite frankly, games that we have played well and not gone through a lot of adversity, we've won. And games where we've had a lot of adversity, we have not won. And so I think that was a huge step for us as a team to not play particularly well, go through a lot of different types of adversity throughout that game and find a way to win. That's what great teams do, and we're trying to become great. We're not there yet, but certainly I thought that was a very positive step for our team.
Coach, how does the VCU finish compare to the Charleston Southern finish?
Well, I think the difference was the fourth quarter for us, and particularly making winning plays. And that's something, Mark, you and I have talked about a lot on the radio. Obviously, it's something that Tracy has heard a lot from me in the last 2 weeks. But I felt like, against VCU, which was probably our next closest adversity game with a lot of adversity, we did not finish well. We didn't make the winning plays, the plays we needed to make to win a game on the road. And for much of last night, we didn't either. I felt like Charleston Southern beat us to a lot of winning plays. But the second half, that tide changed. In the fourth quarter, we were exceptional. Every offensive rebound we needed, every loose ball, every hard contest. We defended without fouling. We only had 2 fouls going down the stretch, so we had some fouls to give. All the little things that go into trying to win a game on the road, we had when it mattered most. And that's significant.
Coach, back in November, you're talking about offensive timing and trying to get that offense going. How do you feel like the team is now compared to, say, a month ago?
I think we're better. I think yesterday we were rusty. I don't think we were as good as we had been, particularly against Wake Forest. I thought that was one of our best games against a good team where we were really flowing and moving the ball, reversing the ball, sharing the ball. I thought yesterday we took a little bit of a step back in that. But it's a process. Again, like we don't, just because you have a great offensive game doesn't mean the next one is going to be that way. That's not how the game of basketball works. There's ebbs and flows. And, again, I thought we had a little bit of rust from the finals week, and it wasn't, quite as good as it has been. But, when you look at the overall picture, I do think that we have gotten better.
Tracy, on the offense, you seem to kind of be a magnet. You want to get the ball to you, but the defense draws. Take us through your mindset. What you're thinking when you get the ball in that low block.
The coaches have pretty much prepared me now for the double team. I mean, it's probably going to be there every game now. So first thing is always looking for my teammates, seeing if they're cutting, seeing if they're open. And then from there, if I can't get into them, just finding ways to get them off me, finding ways, use pass fakes, use my strength inside to get them off me. But, yeah, first things first, always looking for my teammates, looking for good cutters, looking for good shooters.
Coach, you talked about it. You had a good offensive game, you won. Not so good offensive game, you win. What's it tell you about the team knowing you can win any way you really need to from these last 2 games?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's a sign of a great team. I mean, the game of basketball, what makes it so beautiful is it's so hard and it's so different. And, you have to go and you have to play the game and you have to play to win it. And, yesterday we were not at our best, but we found a way. And I think, the one thing for us is typically is we can hang our hat on our defense. I mean, obviously, throw the second quarter out yesterday, pretty sure on the sideline I said, what are we doing, about 10 times because I don't know, we lost our mind for about 10 minutes. But typically for us, we know we have a chance to win games because of the way that we could defend. And quite frankly, that won us the game last night because I think we held them to 8 points in the third quarter. They finished with 10 in the fourth quarter, but we gave them 2 baskets at the end because we didn't want to foul when we had that lead. So, I think what I love about this team is regardless of how our offense is going, we know we can get stops when we need it.
Last time we talked was early in the season. Talked about what the most surprising thing at that point in the season. Your team's always growing. You're always learning something new about. What's the biggest thing you've learned from the team since last time we had this?
I think what I'm learning is just how to coach this group. Every group is a little bit different. And the biggest things that I am learning is what this team needs from me. And one of the things I believe this team needs from me is my confidence and my belief that they are good enough. Because I did feel like early in the season when we made mistakes or, we weren't making adjustments that we needed, getting on them, yelling at them, they didn't respond. But I've kind of evolved to realize like they need to know I believe in them. They need to know that I have confidence. And even last night when we were down 14, I kept looking at them and saying, hey, we got this. We're going to win this game. And they looked right back at me and said, yes, we are. And that's different than probably we felt against Southern Illinois. When you think, Tracy, that's different. Maybe even different how we felt during VCU. So I think that's been probably the biggest thing for it's on me. Like every team's different, and as a coach, I believe you have to learn how to coach each team that you have. And I feel like when I make sure these kids know I believe in them, which I do, I really do believe we can be a great team by the time this season is over. When they know that, they come out and they play that way.
Coach, I'll piggyback off that just a little bit. You've got a lot of different personalities with this team. How do you deal with that? Do you have to deal with each player differently, or how does that work for you?
Yes, you do. That's every team. I never believed in there's a cookie cutter way to coach, and that everybody should have to adjust to who I am and my personality. I believe great coaches find a way to reach every player differently. The way I coach Tracy is very different from, the way I coach JC. Very different from how I coach Deja. Everybody is different and needs something different, throughout the time of coaching them, but also within games. There were a couple moments last night where, I had to talk to Tracy about something, and then I had to talk to Key about something, and those talks are totally different based on what they need. But I think that's, again, what great coaches do, and it takes time to learn those things. Obviously being in my second year coaching Tracy, I feel better about what she needs from me. My second year coaching Key, I feel better about what she needs from me. I've been coaching Deja and JC forever, it feels like, so I know what they need from me. But, players like Jewel and, Liv and Smitty, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to understand that. But, again, I think the mark of a good coach is you figure out how to reach each of those players individually.
Coach, it looks like now you're getting more depth. Can you talk a little bit about that for us and maybe about some of the guys coming off the bench?
Yeah, I think yesterday we didn't use our bench as much as I would like to, but I just felt like we needed some experience in there for sure down the stretch. And but I do believe in our bench. I really do. And I think that we're making great strides every single day, and it might not always show in the game and the stats, but we watch that every day in practice. We track everything in practice. We have stats from every practice so that we know what our kids are doing and what they're doing well and where they need to grow, so that we have data. And I really do think that we are growing tremendously, and as the season goes on, the depth on our bench is going to help us win games. Well, it's a great rivalry. This is what basketball is about, playing these types of games. And I have a lot of respect for Davidson. I've known their coach a really long time. I think she does a good job. This is the best team that they've had since I've been in Charlotte. But they're very different from us. They are very veteran. They have kids that have been playing together for a long time. And then they've added in some pieces that have worked really well with their chemistry and what they do. Whereas, we're still learning and growing and trying to figure out. So we're just two teams in two very different places right now. That isn't a bad thing. It's just what it is. But, what I do know is this game is a lot of fun to play. And we have been disappointed with our performance the last 2 years. Certainly Davison played well, but we, didn't do the things that we needed to do to put ourselves in a position to win this game. And I think that's the bottom line. Like, win or lose on Thursday, obviously we're coming out to do everything we can to win, but win or lose, we want to play well, and you want to walk out of that game and say, all right, we gave our best, because the result's going to take care of itself. But we need to focus on, obviously it's a rivalry. Obviously it's a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it, but we need to focus the majority on, like, what we need to do at Charlotte, what Charlotte needs to do to play our very best, because they're very good and we need to play our very best.
Coach, have you got your sweater picked out yet?
I do.
Tracy?
I don't.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
Well,
I
hopefully
can't-
she's
can't
in a
wear
uniform.
sweater.
I'll give you a dumb question. That's all right, Coach?
Yeah, once in a while, not much, Mark.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges Davidson presents?
Well, they're essentially positionless, and the way that they run their stuff, I mean, they do just a really good job of putting, their pieces in good positions, which make them hard to guard. They're maybe one of the best teams I've seen in reading defense and making the right read. And again, I think a lot of that comes to, a couple of their veteran guards who are really good. They just make the right play the majority of the time. And so it makes it hard to guard them because of their ability to kind of pick you apart. They shoot the ball really well. And they're also really tough. They're really tough. They're going to be physical defensively. They're going to get into us. They're going to try to slow us in transition. And so there's a variety of challenges for sure. But, again, I know that defensively we're a tough team when we're locked in. And we'll have the game plan and prepare our team the best that we can. But, ultimately, a lot of times games like this, again, a rivalry game, it comes down to those winning plays again. And we've got to have more winning plays that they do throughout the course of a game. We cannot, if we wait to the fourth quarter, that's not going to work. We're going to have to be locked in on that for 4 quarters.
Obviously, on the defensive end for me, it's going to be really locking in and making sure, I can move my feet and everything, keep up with the more guard-like pace that's going to be up and down the floor. And but also I see a really good opportunity for me inside. It's going to be very hard to guard me with undersized people. So, I mean, that's going to be a huge challenge for them.
Coach, you've mentioned after last night's game, after a big stretch of a break, you want to see some defensive improvements, especially after that. Is there any offensive improvement that you may want to see going forward after last night's game?
Well, I think we didn't share the ball quite as well as we did in our last win, and we talked about that a lot in timeouts. Like, it seems to me with this team, when we get into a little bit of a hole, we start to try to take over one-on-one. Not in a selfish way, but in a, like, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make this play to get us back into the game, instead of having the composure and poise to believe in ourselves as a team that we can get it done as a team, which I thought we did in the fourth quarter, finally. It didn't come down to one person having to make the play. We played together. We found the right reads. We finally got to the free throw line. We didn't settle. And so I think that's a big thing we have to overcome. When we don't see the ball go in, or we don't see, production offensively, staying true to what we should be doing and staying confident that it will work. And if we can get to that point, I think we'll be much better offensively.
Thank you.
You're welcome.